I'm Jennet Ingle, the happiest musician. If you're watching this on YouTube, please go ahead and click subscribe for me. That way you always know when I drop a new episode, and it becomes easier for other people to find my channel and to become themselves happier musicians. Thank you. So within my visibility lab, my Happiest Musician visibility lab, I was giving some advice last week and I found myself suggesting to someone that even though the venue they were talking with didn't have the funding that they were looking for, it might be worth performing for less. And I kind of caught myself because my whole thing is that I want musicians to get paid more, is that I want more creative people to be thriving in the world. And a big part of that is asking for what you're worth and accepting no less, being willing to say no when the fit is not right. So it got me thinking about why that was my recommendation to this client and when it actually might be okay to use your professional skills for less money than is actually appropriate. And I think it boils down to that getting started is hard. Building a chamber music series, building an ensemble that is comfortable and familiar playing together, that is wonderful. And once that ensemble is comfortable and familiar playing together, it's worth a lot. It should be worth a lot. You have talented people, you have put in a ton of work, you are showing up in front of people and delivering an experience. That said, when that ensemble is just starting out, you don't have with your colleagues the level of trust that you ultimately will have. You don't have with your colleague the depth and breadth of repertoire that eventually you will have. You don't have the reps showing up in front of an audience and delighting them. And the way to get there is not to sit inside your own house or inside your own little rehearsal space and practice over and over again until you're more confident with the product. The answer for a performing musician is to perform. Let's get out in front of people. Let's workshop this project as it is happening. Let's get this going and let's get some reps in front of audiences that have not paid top dollar so that you know within your group who you can trust, so that you know whether this is a group that does gel, so that you know whether this is a group that can support this kind of performing and this kind of pace. If that means that you do a show or two for $100 per person, fine, do a show or two like that. And then use the testimonials that you gain from talking to audience members, use the delight that you were able to give to the venue owner, use the actual metrics of how many people came and what worked for them. Use the information that you've learned to negotiate something better next time around. I am not going to tell you that you should keep your brand new ensemble under wraps until you find the place that will pay you your actual official fee the first time out. I had even suggested to this same person that possibly for some of the earliest events that this new group does, my client themselves might take less money than their colleagues, which feels crazy. How dare I make this kind of advice to people? Well, it's this, that I started my own chamber music series back in 2013, 2014. I ran it for three and a half years and decided not to go forward with it. But during that time, I crowdfunded the first season, but I deposited quite a bit of my own money into that crowd fund to make it go. I had some grants for the second season. For the third season, I did some self-funding. I absolutely did pay my colleagues out of my pocket to do this gig because it was very important to me that musicians get paid for the experience they were having. And I had enough money with all of the other things that I was doing, all of the other things that I do in my life. I was in a position that I didn't actually need to make a profit on this experience. The experience for me was about, can I make this chamber series go? And once I decided that that was not interesting for me anymore because the amount of work it took to fund in a nonprofit manner, to fund by soliciting donations so that I could pay, it didn't end up being for me. So I did not break even on that particular chamber experience. But what we did do is share many concerts out in the community, supporting other nonprofit organizations, bringing musicians together who had not played together before, providing a ton of visibility for living composers and for local composers and for local musicians and artists. So I loved the experience. There were a lot of good things that came from it, and I didn't break even on it. And I didn't mind, because what I did get was the experience of starting a thing up, and I knew after that what it was going to take to continue it. And that is the experience that I was trying to create for this client. The experience of getting it going from there with their new knowledge of how the group gelled, what it was capable of, what repertoire existed, what it felt like to be in front of an audience with these specific people. They could iterate and move forward. People ask me also, when is it worth playing for free? If I've been asked to play for visibility, to play for exposure, to do background music in an experience, to play a church gig that is not paid because it's your church. When is that okay? And when is it not okay? Because we are professional musicians. We do make our living performing, and our time is our resource. It should come as no surprise that I am not a fan of playing for free. Here's when I might advise it, or here's when I might say, yeah, this does make sense in this situation, to play for free or to play for less than you would normally accept. If you are new in a community and you need to meet people, because the fastest way into the music scene is not through taking auditions the once a year or twice a year that your local orchestra might be having auditions. The way into the music scene is to meet the musicians who are playing. Now, when you play free gigs, the people you meet are the people who are also playing free gigs, and that is not necessarily the demographic of people that you want to be networking with, but any in helps. So as you are playing that free work or playing that low paying work, you should be listening around you. Who are the really strong players? Can you talk to them? Where are they also playing? Can you be friendly with them, like compliment them, say something warm and pleasant, and see what you can make happen from that. If you are a student, if you are a serious student looking to move on into a professional music career, but you are asked to do some things, as sometimes students are, where you are sitting in with a professional orchestra and not getting paid, or not getting paid the right amount, or you are hired for a church gig, or you are hired for background music with a little quintet at some sort of party situation. Should you do it? If you can afford to do it, the benefit of doing it might be that it just gives you some reps. It lets you get out in public in front of an audience and have the feeling that you are doing it, that this is what it feels like to perform on a shortened, like professional style schedule. When you're in school, you might work for an entire semester to perform a symphony orchestra concert. When you're in the professional world, you might get 4 days, might just be 3. And that's a really different pacing. And the goal of the rehearsal process is very different than what it might have been in school. When the conductor of the university orchestra is trying to, craft some magic and has infinite time to get there, even though the ensemble itself is made up of students at a variety of ability levels. The professional orchestra is trying to get the product up to acceptable level, get all of the musicians who may have been playing in different orchestras from each other last week all on the same page musically so that they can present something maybe not infinitely polished, but something put together to the audience that weekend. And they're going to do a whole nother one the following week, and they're going to do a whole nother one the following week. Speed is relevant and important. And if that is not something that you're used to because you have been in a studentier world where the job of the conductor is to educate and the job of the conductor is to nurture, the professional world is going to feel different. And it might indeed be worth you playing for less money than the pros are getting paid just to get some reps in. It might indeed be worth you putting a tossed together quintet out into a gig scene, a gig situation, where you can figure out what you can do with a quintet of strong players with one rehearsal, where you can figure out what you need to do to support your own mouth and embouchure in surviving for an hour of straight playing, to figure out what works for the audience and what makes them turn their heads and get excited, to figure out how to hop up and without preparing overly much, say something pleasant about the piece that just happened, about the next piece, and bring the audience in and then sit back down and do the thing. These are skills. They're very learnable, but you're not taught them in school. And so is there a benefit to playing for little money, to playing for perhaps no money early on in your experience, to understand what that feels like and to build the muscle of showing up in front of an audience? Yes, I do think that that has some value. Do I think you should stay there for a long time? No, I think you should probably be actively networking, actively promoting yourself, actively looking for the next thing, the thing that actually pays you the amount of money that you want. Within your portfolio career, you get to decide how to balance your money, your time, and your feeling of artistic fulfillment. It is not necessarily crucial that performing as a musician cover your entire rent. That's a lot of pressure to put on your artistry, and that's a lot of pressure to put on your body, your physical body. And so I even include in this conversation amateur musicians who love what they do, who perform at a very high level, but who do not necessarily get paid for it or aspire to get paid for it. In every person's life, you have to figure out how to make the money that you need to make to live in the world. Maybe that is teaching. Maybe that is a day job. Maybe that is an actual 9-to-5 career that you have if you're a musical amateur. You need to figure out how you are going to manage your own time so that you can play your instrument and practice your instrument to keep yourself at the level you need to be at. And you need to figure out how to find the amount of artistic fulfillment you want in your life. And maybe that is performing, even if that part isn't paying you right now. As long as you have a balance that is working for you right now, that's fantastic. You are winning. And you get to change that balance anytime. You get to lean more towards the higher and higher paying jobs. You get to dial back the day job or the teaching, or you get to pivot the way you are teaching to work with a clientele that suits you better. These are all choices that you can take agency in. And that's the way I want you thinking. It absolutely can benefit you to play, to perform, to present your work at a lower fee at first, and you get to decide how that goes. This has been a Happiest Musician Minisode. I hope that it has been helpful. Please let me know in the comments beneath this YouTube, or by leaving a review for Crushing Classical, or by emailing me from my website, jennetingle.com, because I would love to hear from you and know how this episode sits for you. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.